commence Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right. Back with you again, Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. Be sure to write this number down and call us here. We want to hear from you. Love to have you be part of the show. We can be reached at 866-870-5752. How are you tonight, Jonathan?
Doing pretty good. Had a good weekend.
All right.
Yeah, how about you?
Well, fine. We actually had a Saturday yesterday without the grandchildren. They went on a camping trip, so that gave Patricia and me a rare day by ourselves.
And what'd you guys do?
Nothing.
Yeah?
Just took some rest. But today is show day and showtime, so we're back at it. And I hear you had a hard night at the Rancho somewhere in North Pasadena.
Well, I discovered one of my favorite little spots in Altadena is the Rancho at the top of lake.
Right.
It's a dive bar, but it's fun.
Are you going to give the zip? Are you getting free drinks for this plug?
I am, yes.
All right. I'm just checking
Full
here.
disclosure.
Full disclosure. At least a man knows what he's doing. All right. So, at any rate, we've got a good show for you tonight. Tonight's very local, which is constantly our focus here. We're going to have an update at the bottom of the hour on San Marino. As you may know, we spent a lot of time in the local elections last fall in San Marino to elect 3 new people to join at least one fiscal conservative on the San Marino City Council. And the idea was that we were going to get reform. Well, whether we're getting it or not, I'm not so sure, but we have a local activist from San Marino who's going to call us in. And speaking of activism, at the top of the next hour, that is just after 9, we will have somebody from South Pasadena calling in. As many of you may know, South Pasadena, courtesy of the California Taxpayers Union, now formerly the California Tax Limitation Committee, worked with folks in South Pasadena to qualify a local initiative for the ballot, which would repeal the utility users tax, otherwise known as a UUT. I don't know what their average is, but 7, 8, 9, 10% of everything that you use. Your telephone, your cell phone, cable. I don't know. They may apply to use of roller skates and skateboards down there for all I know. But the whole idea is to take in as much money as they can, because South Pasadena, like just about every other city in the state of California, has a huge pension problem. That is, they are underfunded, and they are charging a heck of a lot of money. We're also going to have our update here tonight from Mark Meuser, Meuser, and Mark is a candidate, one of the top 2 candidates for Secretary of State of California. This is a very, very important office. I know it sounds obscure to you, but the Secretary of State of California is the person who has direct responsibility for ensuring the accuracy of the voter rolls and the integrity of the voting process. In other words, he's there to make sure there's no collusion, right? Isn't that the buzzword? Well, he is the collusion solution. That's what I got a new campaign.
That's perfect.
So the collusion solution will be to elect Mark Meuser. So we have him on We'll give you a little bit of update on the gas tax here tonight, and I want to remind you of the many things that we have on the upcoming ballot, which are hugely important. We've got a ton of bonds for various purposes. Some of them are statewide bonds, maybe about $8 billion worth, and they're all geared to the typical things, water, roads, everything we paid for over and over and over again. They want us to float another bond to support it at the same time that we're running a sanctuary state and bringing in all kinds of people from everywhere and devoting more of our precious resources to them. And, of course, to deliver all these services, what do we have to do? Well, we have to hire government employees. We got to put them on our pension system. In other words, we got to dig that hole just a little bit deeper. So when you see a bond issue, vote no. Without exception, vote no. It just leads to more of the same thing. What I highly recommend to you is that you go to bigbadbonds.org. They are an incredible operation, and they will give you the update. As we get closer to the election, they'll have more on there. And as we get closer to the election, I'm going to ask Robert Michael, who heads up the Big Bad Bonds website, to come on and brief us. We had him on here a few months ago when the city of San Marino was trying to scam the residents down there into supporting a $148 million new bond. And who knew that the San Marino schools were, I guess, just the site of Bangladesh. So they're always scamming. They're always lying. Remember, everything that passes for local government is almost without exception a fraud, a hustle, and a con. Now, Jonathan, I just got a text message from somebody saying they couldn't get AM 870 on any of their radios. We have many alternate ways to listen. Would you review with people all the ways to access this program?
Yes. Well, first of all, you can go to Facebook and search Radio Free Los Angeles, and we're streaming live, so you can get video and audio here in the studio. I think that's probably the best way to participate in the broadcast, and you can make comments, ask questions on Facebook. You can also go to use the AM 870 The Answer app on your mobile phone, or you can visit their website, and they're streaming that live on the AM 870 website. So lots of different ways to listen to the show. But definitely give us a call. Remember, the number is 866-870-5752. We'd love to hear from you.
You got it. Hey, already we have people calling in. We have a call coming in from Casey in Los Angeles. Casey, what's on your mind tonight?
Hi.
How you doing, my friend?
Good.
Fire away.
I wanted to talk about a little bit about law right now.
Sure.
I hear a lot of patriots talking about how they bring up the Constitution and how the leftists are really eroding it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is people don't understand that there's really two statuses in this country for law. One of them is to be a resident. One of them is to be a non-resident. And if you are domiciled in the Washington, D.C. versus the rest of the United States, they are claiming that you are an employee of the government, and so there's really two sets of law going on. One is statutory and one is constitutional.
Okay, well, just to provide a little context there, we have two primary sources of law. First, of course, well, you could expand it and say more. You have divine law, you have natural law. Here in the United States, we have constitutional law, and then the statutory law derives from the Constitution because it is enacted by the people themselves through their representatives, and that is through a process of representation that is authorized by the Constitution.
Yeah,
we,
I understand that.
you see what I mean? Yeah. So
but
resident.
all the contracts for driver's license and for marriage licenses, all these different licenses are actually franchises for the United States of America, which is in itself a corporation.
Okay.
It's a federal corporation. So really, we're following the policies of a corporation under statutory law, but you don't really go to common court laws, which were
All right.
really envisioned for the Constitution. So
Well,
if you bring it up in courts, you're going to be laughed at.
You will. Casey, I want to thank you for calling in. We're up on break time right now. This is Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles, radiofreelosangeles.net. Next up is Mark Moisher calling in. Back with you.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you, Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson. As we mention all the time, our program is listener Patriot sponsored radio. And if you want to help us out and keep this program on the air, please go to radiofreelosangeles.net. That's Radio Free Los Angeles, all spelled out, .net. What do they do to join the union?
Well, on our website, you can go to radiofreelosangeles.net or californiataxpayersunion.org, and we have our site set up for membership. So all you have to do is click Join the Union, and we got several options. All you have to do is to sign up for a monthly contribution of any amount, and you're a member of the union.
There you go. We'll come back to more of that later. Right now, we have Mark Moisher, candidate for Secretary of State. He is on a bike trip of a very unusual kind. Mark, are you there, my friend?
I am here. I'm here from Bridgeport, California. I'm
All right.
making my way down the 395, heading towards Southern California.
Bridgeport is the Marine Corps cold weather training school up there. And I'm telling you, it is cold up there during the winter. Just miserable.
Well, it was miserable today. We had a summer storm come through, and I was riding into a terrible headwind going uphill into Bridgeport with just a driving rain. But you know what? Elections matter, and I'm not giving up on the state of California. I'm going to fight through whatever the weather throws at me to get our message out that we need to restore integrity in our election.
Right. Now, Mark, you and I know who you are. I'm going to take a few moments to explain to our audience who just called in and who might think that we're talking to some nutcase on a bicycle headed down California. The man that we have on the radio right now is Mark Moisher, Meuser, I believe. And Mark is a candidate for Secretary of State of California, and he's undertaken an unusual approach. It's hard to get attention in a large state like this, and Mark has been riding his bicycle from, I don't know, as far north as you can get, all the way south as far as you can get. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, we're going to go to all 58 counties. It's going to be about 5,000 miles. I have done, I think, about 18 counties so far.
Wow.
I didn't go into Nevada today, but I came as close to Nevada as you could get. And earlier, a couple days ago, I was up on the Oregon border, and I've gone, covered a lot of the Northern California, and now I'm heading, tomorrow I'll be in Inyo, and then we're going to go through Death Valley, and by Sunday, we'll be in Imperial County, so as far south as you can get.
Well, what I like about your bike trip is that this should put you in contact with a lot of very basic Americans, very basic Californians outside of the large urban populations where everybody else goes. We know about your message of voter integrity, of securing the purging the rolls and so forth. Who are you meeting? What are the people of California telling you?
Oh, I'm having some great conversations as we have traveled around the state. Because it's many of the small counties. This morning I was in Alpine County, the least populated county in the state. A couple days ago I was in Sierra County, the second least populated county of the state. And these counties are not used to seeing statewide candidates come through, let alone one come through on a bike. And so I've been picking up a lot of local news. I've been talking to people.
Yeah, what are they saying, though? I'm very curious. So say, Mark, you go guy, or I'm not interested, or I think our voting's in terrible shape, or what the hell does the Secretary of State do? What are your conversations like?
Well, usually it starts off with, what does the Secretary of State do? And then once I explain that, they have heard about, like, Los Angeles County having 144% voter registration, and they just feel like it's like their vote doesn't matter. And so when they hear that I'm running on the principle of election integrity, it doesn't matter what their party affiliation is. They have been fairly supportive of my message that we need to restore integrity to our elections.
Right. And is sorely lacking out there. What is the treatment of what kind of treatment have you gotten in the press? Are they mostly ignoring you because they don't want anybody to know about your candidacy? Are they attacking you? What's going on out there?
Well, I mean, I've been getting coverage in a lot of papers and radio stations and TV stations that never cover Republicans because of just the unusual nature of things.
Yes.
The SAC-B did an article this last week, and they weren't attacking me, so it was actually a pretty positive piece.
Yes.
It's like, hey, this is what he's doing.
Yes.
There was one local paper that the person just did an absolute attack piece on me, and somebody put it to my attention. I responded back, well, at least they spelled my name right.
Yes. I know. This is Hollywood. No such thing as bad publicity. Now, the worst thing that can happen to you in politics is to be ignored. And if you're attacked for the right reasons, all the better. It's fine. Are you able to speak with local newspaper people and whatnot and get on local radio in these smaller areas?
Well, I mean, what was funny is on Monday this last week, I called in to Reading to a talk radio show. And as they heard who I was and what I was doing, and next thing I knew, I was on their show for a half hour. Yeah. It was kind of interesting. I walked into a radio studio earlier this week, and it's like, oh, hey, sit down, let's go. And, I've had almost every stop. I've had some kind of local press there snapping pictures of me, the bike, the big 31-foot RV that is traveling with me.
Right.
I actually was parked in front of the courthouse in one county, and the county register of voters sent out one of her staffers who came, picked me up, and took me in and showed me their office and told me what was going on in their county. So, I mean, overall, things have been really well received. I've really enjoyed this trip, and we've been having the 31-foot RV gives me even more name because my name is wrapped on it, and my picture has really gotten some pretty good press and builds name recognition because I may be riding through and they may not see me, but they see the big bus.
Good.
But a funny story happened today. I was in Alpine County. And I had already ridden my bike to the location where our event was, and the bus showed up, and some people were walking through the park, and they said, "Who's Mark Moyser? Is he a Republican or a Democrat?" And then somebody said, "Does it matter? He has bikes on the back of his RV."
He's got bikes. Hey, well, Mark, we wish you the best out there on your trip. And when you get down here to Los Angeles, I hope that you will come in our studio Who's that idiot that used to be our Secretary of State? How come I can't think of his name? The one that sold us out to Iran. Kerry. Don't do a John Kerry out there. Keep that helmet on, okay?
We'll do that. We'll do that.
And when you come to L.A., come on in the studio. We'd love to hear. And in all this background, talking about all these wonderful people in California really interests me a lot. We are a very diverse state, and the diversity is not necessarily racial. It is cultural. It is geographic. We are an incredible state, and I really enjoy you and appreciate your recounting some of these individual conversations that you have with voters. Good luck, Mark. Where do listeners go if they want to support you and keep tires on that bike?
MarkMoiser.com, MarkMeufer.com.
You got it. Keep rolling out there. We look forward to hearing from you next week.
Okay, talk to you then.
All right, Mark, take care. Thanks a lot. We've just been visiting with Mark Moyser, Republican candidate for Secretary of State, and he's the guy. Oh, I should have told him what our new motto for him is, our bumper sticker. We're going to call him the Collusion Solution.
Collusion Solution.
That's it, man. So if you're worried about your vote, like Mark Moyser, he will true the vote. He will get at it. We have a terrible situation in Los Angeles County, as so many other urban counties, where we have more people registered to vote than are legally eligible. So it's really been a very, very terrible situation here, and we hope to adjust that with the new Secretary of State, who can bring our state into compliance with federal guidelines. But of course, the hell with federal guidelines, just bring it in line with common sense and our own laws. And in California, for example, has got problems because it's just giving away driver's licenses to whoever happens to go in there and ask for one. And as a result, they may have trouble with with Homeland Security using your license to get on an airplane.
Well, you heard this week that San Francisco is now letting illegals vote.
Yeah.
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 Amazing.
It's insanity.
Yeah. I don't think in federal elections yet. I think it's school board elections.
No, not federal.
But that's just the first step.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They're going. they try to make de facto citizens out of everybody, and I've never read any of the cases, but it is thought that the states and their sub-entities, the cities within them, have the legal authority under the Constitution to determine who votes, how, and when. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the federal standards are, but federally they won't get there. But of course, what they want to do is to flood the zone, and then we're going to have problems.
A world without borders, right?
That's it, man. Yeah.
What a wonderful world that would be.
Right. It would be. All the people who are going along with this nonsense, of course, enforce their borders, relentlessly. We'd love to have you, call in tonight. We in the second half hour, when we come back after the break, we're going to have somebody call in from South Pasadena, from San Marino, to give us an update on what's going on there. And then I also want to bring you up to date on a lawsuit that has been filed following the Janus decision. Now, as all of you may recall, the Janus decision came down from the United States Supreme Court, and it held, among other things, that a non-union member could not be compelled to pay dues to a union based upon the thin pretext or thin legal basis that he was somehow getting a free ride, that is, benefiting from what the union was doing for him and not paying for it. The United States Supreme Court by a 5-4 vote, rejected that and said that to compel payment of those dues by a non-member was a violation of his First Amendment rights. Well, that finding had many, many other implications and was followed by several filings around the country that I think that you will be as excited about as I am when I tell you. So we'll pick that up in the second part of the next half hour. This is Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson coming to you from radio station KRLA 870 The Answer. Join us at 866-870-5752.
What's news in Southern California? We've got the answer.
The summer heat waves descending on SoCal most of this week. Weather Service officials have posted an excessive heat warning from 10 a.m. tomorrow through 8 p.m. Thursday for San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura, Los Angeles, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. The warning will also cover all inland areas of Orange and San Diego counties, while a slightly less serious heat advisory will apply to the coastal areas of those two counties. Senator Lindsey Graham tells CBS's Face the Nation the warrant that led to the documents relating to the wiretapping of President Trump's one-time campaign advisor Carter Page were not justified.
No, not at all in my view. If the dossier is the reason you issued the warrant, it was a bunch of garbage. The dossier has proven to be a bunch of garbage.
And Graham says President Trump gets Russian meddling and collusion confused. Southland weather, sunny tomorrow, upper 80s along the coast, mid-90s inland, 100s in the valleys and deserts. Right now it's 90 in Bradbury and 83 in Garden Grove. I'm Alan Ross, AM 870, The Answer.
If you suffer chronic back and leg pain, you may not need open spine surgery. Listen to Corliss, who went to Dr. Glenn Lipton about her spinal stenosis.
And there were some days when I couldn't walk at all. And so he said, if this doesn't give you any relief, then it's going to be surgery.
But Dr. Lipton relieved her pain without major back surgery.
This was my last hurrah, and it worked. And it was amazing.
The procedure is minimally invasive lumbar decompression, and Dr. Lipton is the only physician in Southern California qualified to perform it. To alleviate your pain, call his office and mention AM 870 for a free MRI review. 855-49-SPINE. 855-49-SPINE.
Just a whole new life for me.
Dr. Lipton?
And we'd love to be able to help you.
Call Dr. Lipton for that free MRI review at 855-49-SPINE. 855-49-SPINE. 855-49-SPINE.
I'm Hugh Hewitt. This week in the Town Hall Review, brought to you in partnership with Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy and ADF, the Alliance Defending Freedom. President Trump talks Russia meddling in the election of 2016.
I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
And then talks about it one day and yet another.
In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't.
We'll examine the reasons he said what he said in the first place.
Trump is understandably sensitive to the fact that repeated claims by Clinton and others that Russia stole the election are aimed at undercutting his legitimacy.
Plus, the Secretary of State holds what is known as a ministerial on religious freedom around the world.
We've got 80-plus delegations. It's historic. It's the first time the State Department has taken on this mission.
Join us for our program. Visit our website at townhallreview.com.
Tune in to Town Hall Review, Sundays at 6 a.m., right here on AM 870, The Answer.
It's the year of The Answer. Wake up with Hugh Hewitt. Weekday mornings at 3. The Morning Answer at 6. Dennis Prager at 9. The Michael Medved Show at noon. Mark Levin at 3. Larry Elder at 6. And everywhere you go on our smartphone app.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, back with you here. And thank you, Jeff. The guy working the board here is Jeff. every Sunday night, does an outstanding job. And I never tire of telling you, the audience, that this show is the result of the work of a lot of people. And when we get here to the station, this place is running 24 hours a day with a really good crew of people, always friendly, always helpful. And it makes my job and Jonathan's job so easy to come here. We fit right in. So we appreciate it, guys.
By the way, Mike, this is our 25th episode.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
Where's the champagne?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's at the Rancho.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're the bar there on North Lake.
Hey, I might get them to sign up as a sponsor. You
All
never
right.
know.
We need to do it, yeah. You got to find somebody sober to do the ad. That could be a challenge. This is going to be you. But at any rate, we've
got a good audience on Facebook tonight, so that's great.
Excellent.
Big shout out to those listening and watching on Facebook.
Thank you. Now, as we promised here in the in this part of our program, this next half hour, we're going to start off with an activist down in San Marino. His name is Andrew Ko. Andrew, are you there, my friend? Good evening, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
All right. Just give you a little background on Andrew Ko and San Marino out there in the audience. San Marino is one of those cities which is just a gorgeous, beautiful city in San Gabriel Valley. It has a limited population, I think fewer than 12,000 people, maybe 5,000 households. Demographically, it's one of the wealthiest cities in California, and yet despite its small size and despite its wealth, the city is in terrible condition. It has a number of public employees. Despite its small size, it owes at least $22 million to the California pension system here, and that's just based on the California pension and retirement system's phony numbers, where they say and they believe that their investments are going to get 7.5% compounded over the next 30 years. We know that's a fantasy number. They probably owe more like $90 million if you use a more reasonable discount rate and a return of under 4%. As a result of these and other problems, there was a turnover in the San Marino City Council last fall, where 3 new council members were elected on the basis of fiscal issues. And we've all been adopting a wait-and-see attitude since then. Just after the election, the San Marino Unified School District thought they would get in on the act and tried to launch a $148 million bond issue. And Andrew Ko, our caller, and many other active people in San Marino sounded the alarm and managed to head off that bond, at least for now. So I thought it'd be a good time to get Andrew back on the phone and talk to him about what's going on in San Marino. Andrew, what's your take on the performance of the San Marino City Council since the new members took office?
Mike, before I start, I think you should add that San Marino is a city that loves parcel taxes.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. We have several of them by the school district, and we have a couple of them by the city. But going back to the city council, I think they're asking a lot of questions. They've been focusing on trying to get a budget in place. They've had lots of meetings and long hours. But what I didn't understand is, why was the city council even presented with such a dog of a budget when the city manager knows very well that the city council is looking for a reduction? Vice Mayor Dr. Huang has proposed a 10% reduction in the budget, but the one that I heard they were presented with was a 2% increase.
Right.
I mean, why would a manager even let that get past her? I mean, if you're in a real business, you would push back on your subordinates and say, hey, the boss is looking for a cut. Don't give me anything that has increase in it.
Right.
And I don't understand why the city council has to do the work of the many, six-figure salary employees we already have. They should be doing the work of the city council.
Who is your city mismanager down there? What's her name?
Marlowe, I think. It's a new hire.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is why are we presenting the council with a budget that is not what they're looking for? They're looking for reduction, but they got one that had an increase. I don't get it. I think something is wrong with the people management.
Right. I think, excuse me, I think it can be explained in this fashion. A lot of people will almost instantly find what I'm saying not credible. Number one is that she doesn't believe in what the city council wants to do. These professional city managers are creatures of the bureaucracy. They regard themselves as the permanent fixture of government, and they see the city councilmen, city council members as temporary occupiers of seats, and they're sitting there in most cases taking the data feed from the city mismanager, who turns around and basically reflects the union vote and the long-term bureaucracy. And this is a way of them pushing back, and they're just not going to have three new city councilmen come in there and change things. They're going to push back. And this is a pushback against you, the concerned citizens who put them in there. They regard this to be a temporary event. The second reason that they do this is bureaucratic behavior, and that is that they don't want to take personal responsibility for it. They want to push it back on the council, make them the bad guys, make them pay the political price, or they want to go to the outside. And I think when you and I were talking there earlier, they wanted to go outside for some of these things. What were those?
Exactly. I mean, accountability, right? So at the June 13th city council meeting, where we talked about the what we're going to do with the recreation department, that only serves like less than 20% of the people in the city. And the city manager recommended hiring a consultant to look into, and this is the word that was on the agenda, re-envisioning the recreation department programming. Re-envisioning to me is a word that a candidate for political office would use because it's got no teeth in it.
Right.
Right. And then I think at the last city council meeting, it was reported in the newspaper, there was another recommendation to hire a consultant to look into solutions or what we need to do with the city landscaping. What I don't understand is that we have these highly paid city employees, department heads, and city manager. How come none of them are qualified or have the skill to convene and lead an internal team to do an assessment on the recreation department and what to do with the city landscaping and come up with their own options and solutions? Because then when you come up with your own solutions, the buy-in is already there.
Right.
And I've offered Mayor Talt my time. I've led many project teams, and I said, I will lead. You put together a team, and I will be the project manager to lead them to do an assessment and report to the city council, which would be the project sponsor. And I haven't heard back, but I just don't understand why we're spending all this money or have people propose that we spend all this money on consultants. And maybe we should take the expenses that we paid to consultants out of the salary pool for the city employees, so then there will be less salary allowance for adjustments. Then maybe they'll think twice about hiring a consultant.
Yes, it's ridiculous. They pay these people, as you point out, very high six-figure salaries, and there's it doesn't take a genius. It just takes political will, and this leads me back to another one. We're coming up on a break here, and we'll have Andrew back. But this brings me back to the core issue of why the city of San Marino is in so much trouble. It pays its people too much, and then it promises them a pension guaranteed for life as a percentage of what they earned during the last 5, 6, 7 years of their public employment, which can take them out to as much as 90% of the salary. Now, that's why they're going broke, And of course, I'm not privy to what goes on down there, but it seems to me that is job one, issue number one for the city. That city doesn't even exist. Park, yeah, I don't care whether you have one or you want one or whatever. It no longer exists. I mean, do you share my view on this, Andrew?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
The rec department is a good example. It offers daycare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then they have to bus the kids from the elementary school to the rec department at the Stoneman Center, and that's a big liability. Why doesn't the school have after-school care?
Right.
St. Felicitas does. It's a Catholic school that's the boundary of San Marino.
Okay, hey, Andrew,
after-school care.
Hold it right there. We'll be back after the break. Mike Alexander, RadioFreeLosAngeles.net, 866-870-5752.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you here, Mike Alexander. We're speaking with Andrew Ko, a very active citizen down in San Marino, talking about the latest high crimes and misdemeanors being committed in the name of local government in the city of San Marino. Now, before we get back with Andrew, I know many of you are asking yourselves out there, why should I care about what goes on in San Marino? What in the hell is Alexander doing on this? I want to take you back up on the mountain again and tell you what's going on. The fact is that in the United States, of all the money that is spent on government, federal, state, county, and city, of all of it, the federal government only spends half of it. That's a big number. I shouldn't use the word only. But the other half, ladies and gentlemen, is spent by state and city, and we pay precious little attention to them. It's fashionable to talk about big government and overwhelming government and statism at the federal level. That is the grist of talk radio every day. You can tune in on Fox News, and that subject will always be there. But it never comes up at the local level, and when between the states and the feds and the locals, they take over half of your income every year and spend it extravagantly and redistribute it. And this is what's going on in our best cities. You would think San Marino would be one of our best managed cities, and in fact, it's just as poorly managed as the rest. Andrew, when we left off in the last segment, you were talking about the city of San Marino being in the babysitting business in the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest zip codes in Southern California. Continue.
Well, that's one of the issues that actually Dr. Wong brought up a couple of years ago when he did a study, and Ken Udi did a study recently, and it's the same thing. Why are we in the daycare business? It should be the school should be doing it if they want to, or else they can find professionals that can do it.
Right.
But another issue that we have is we have a big drain on our emergency and public safety resources by venues in the city that host a large number of out-of-town visitors.
Right.
Okay, and back in January, February, I suggested to Councilwoman Susan Jakubowski that maybe we should consider an admissions tax like Pacific Grove up north, where they have the Monterey Aquarium that attracts a large number of out-of-town paying visitors, but also demand a lot of public services. And she said that the city attorney and our finance guy, quote-unquote, are looking into it. But so far, 6 months later, I haven't heard much, and I've followed up with her 3 or 4 times already. And at a meeting in April, Mayor Talt said that he was concerned that an admissions tax might affect school events like football games. And it does not, because there are exemptions available for schools, and I had already communicated this to him. Now, my question is, why not let the voters decide?
Right.
This
now,
is a tax that will not
Andrew,
hit the pockets of a homeowner.
Andrew, the one thing the audience will want to know is that the primary issue in San Marino is the Huntington Library, which attracts hundreds of thousands, you say over 1 million visitors per year, and because of the age and the demographic composition and just the sheer number of visitors, it's very costly to provide emergency services there.
No, and we've heard from a few neighbors around that they hate it because the people park anywhere.
Yes.
And even the fire department has trouble getting there because of all the cars that are parked on the side of the road, and it's in a hilly area.
Right.
And we can fix that, right? But, I mean, if San Marino can put a public safety parcel tax on the ballot when the city was sitting on, I would say, 10 to 15 million in reserves, right? That means it doesn't need this public safety parcel tax.
Right.
We can certainly put the emissions tax on the ballot for the voters to decide.
Sure.
Because it is draining our emergency and public safety resources that we pay for, and it's being spent on guests that are paying the Huntington to go to
That's correct.
Whatever, and it just doesn't seem very fair. And the only thing I heard is, they give us $100,000 or $150,000 a year. Well, they might or they might not. I mean,
right.
And I'm not so sure that the 150 would cover the huge amount of resources that they suck up on their weekends and when people go and visit and have a heart attack or have a breathing problem or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, fair is fair. And the fact is, and this is one of my pet peeves, they call themselves a nonprofit, but as a matter of fact, there is no such thing as a nonprofit business. They're running a business, and they are very profitable. Now, what's a profitable business? Answer is that you have more money left over at the end of the year, than when you started. You're profitable if your income exceeds your expenses. In the real world, we call it a profit. Only in the mysterious world of so-called nonprofits, that is charities and whatnot, do they call that surplus a surplus. We call it a profit. They're making plenty of money. And by the way, I'm a longtime member of the Huntington. Love it, but fair is fair. They're bringing in plenty of money. They can take care of that problem. Now, in the city, of course, there's all kinds of social pressure, maybe not to take any action against their most precious monument.
But, Mike, the emissions tax is not on the Huntington. It is on the attendee.
Yes.
Buying the ticket.
Sure.
So there are no First Amendment free speech rights violation, like, it's preventing them from putting on an exhibition. It is not on the venue. It is on the person that's buying a ticket.
Yeah, it's a ticket tax.
So instead of $20 for a ticket, it will be $22 or 10%, right?
Right.
And it goes towards specific emergency services and public safety services that are required because all these people are, illegally parking or having health issues.
Right. It's a huge thing to manage. Yeah. And the point of it is bringing it down to San Marino and their problems. These cities manage tremendous amounts of money. They make tremendous commitments to people, but they operate very poorly and very inefficiently, and political considerations are constantly intruding. Now, one thing I would ask you, has there been any movement in the city of Pasadena, to properly restate and determine, properly to determine and restate the actual pension obligation, and B, has there been any movement to move at least new employees to a defined contribution, otherwise known as a 401k type program?
That was brought up. I mean, I've spoken with a couple of city council members about how about after a cutoff date, the new hires are now on a 401k. I mean, the U.S. military is going to a 401k.
That's correct.
Right? So why can't the city do it? At least then we would have limited or have a cutoff on how much liability we have, rather than keep taking on more and more liability. But again, Mike, that's changing the mindset.
Right.
And you're not going to get that out of city employees.
Yeah, I quite agree. I think that, that ultimately we're just going to have, the citizens are going to have to vote this in. And at the state level, we're going to have to take action. I'm going to be bringing in an update next week on the status of these cases that are up on appeal before the California Supreme Court, because the California Supreme Court is going to determine whether the cities and the counties and the state actually have the ability to reform the existing program, change its nature, reallocate the benefits, that sort of thing. But one thing is clear, is that these local city councilmen don't want to touch it. And they refuse to address the major problem in the city, and instead they'd rather dipsy-doodle around with park studies and busing, kids here and there. It's absolute insanity. They can't afford any of it. And the best way to highlight that program is to start shutting down the city, because on paper it is shut down. And sooner or later, that whole city is going to go poof because it can't pay its pensions.
Well, some good news for you, Mike.
Yeah.
The drought is over in San Marino.
Oh,
we
good.
Don't have a drought.
Got 2 minutes. Brief us on that.
I have a city employee communicating to me that all violations of our water conservation regulations passed in 2015, which is R15-16, and amended in 2016, the R16-16, are now considered best management practices. So homeowners can water 7 days a week and leave their sprinklers on for an hour, and it's no longer considered a code violation.
Right.
So if that's the case, I don't see why the city council doesn't come out and just say it and rescind R15-16 and R16-16. If the city employee is deciding that he doesn't want to enforce the ordinance, and he's calling every violation a best management practice issue.
Right.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know when the city council delegated that authority to the city employee.
Oh, right, yeah. And they just run around making war on us when they're moving at all.
Yeah.
It's absolutely outrageous, and they've used this this water crisis, one that they largely created. When I say they, the state government. Got 1 minute, Andrew. I want to thank you very much for coming on. I want to encourage people to imitate what Andrew has done and to follow his good example down there in San Marino. I know there's many other people like you. It's extremely important that we get our arms around this, because these local crises are not local. They are actually national and statewide in their implications. So we look forward to having you on again one of these times soon. Keep track of them down there, and stay cool down there, Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much, sir. We're coming up on our top of the hour break. This is Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson, RadioFreeLosAngeles.net. Go there, join the union, be part of the solution, and we'll see you after the break here.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-700-0299. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-700-0299. That's 1-800-700-0299. 1-800-700-0299.
LA's largest and longest-running business-to-business networking event is back Thursday, July 26th at the Pasadena Convention Center. Join over 2,000 like-minded business professionals from across Los Angeles for the 20th annual LA's Largest Mixer. Are you looking to make new connections to grow your business? Then get your company involved as an exhibitor at this targeted business-to-business networking event. Connect with potential customers, spark new ideas for your business, and show LA what makes your business unique. All in one place, all in one night. Market yourself and your business at the 20th annual LA's Largest Mixer, Thursday, July 26th at the Pasadena Convention Center. For exhibitor information or advance tickets, visit LAMixer.com. That's LAMixer.com. LA's Largest Mixer is open to the entire business community. We'll see you July 26th at LA's premier business networking event. LA's Largest Mixer, where business meets business.
This is AM 870, The Answer. A division of Salem Media Group on the NASDAQ as SALM. KRLA, Glendale, Los Angeles, Orange County. What's news in Southern California? We've got the answer.
The ongoing dialogue over how President Trump should handle the North Korea and China situation was addressed today by GOP Senator Lindsey Graham.
I would put deadlines in terms of when I want North Korea to deliver the remains of our POWs and missing in action, and I would restart the military exercises. Mr. President, North Korea is playing the same old game with you they played with every other president. You're being tough on China, and you should be, but China's pulling North Korea back.
Graham was on CBS's Face the Nation. SoCal gas prices are down again for the 9th straight day, off 0.4% to $3.64 for LA County, and down 0.7% to just over $3.58 for the Orange County area. Still, though, 73 cents higher than last year. Southland weather, some morning low clouds and fog tomorrow morning, then sunny and warm, mid-70s to around the 80s along the coast, upper 80s to mid-90s inland, and the 100s in the valleys and deserts. Right now, 88 in Glendale, 74 in Dana Point. I'm Alan Ross, AM 870, The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results may vary. See website for details.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute? That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just text TRY to 350-350. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, text TRY to 350-350. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's TRY to 350-350.
Even though the 4th of July is behind us, every July is our Independence Month. Become a patriot. Declare your independence from big mobile companies. Break free from big mobile's hidden fees, the line charges, the complicated pricing. Start celebrating simplicity with Patriot Mobile, where the pricing is simple and straightforward. Patriot Mobile also covers your switching and installment fees as a contract credit, up to $1,500 per account when you join. And from each Patriot's bill comes a contribution to the vital donations of conservative organizations that fight for freedom every day. What a great month to remember that. This month, enjoy a new Motorola E4 or an E4 Plus smartphone for only $4 a month. Save over 40% on this terrific water-resistant phone, perfect for summer, and help bring about conservative change. Independence has never sounded so liberating. Don't wait. Offer only available while supplies last. Make the switch today by calling 1-800-A-PATRIOT or by visiting www.patriotmobile.com/U. That's patriotmobile.com/U. Be a patriot. Switch. Make conservative change happen every time you use your cell phone. Patriot Mobile, your new cellular resource for patriotism.
We're
Sound Income Strategies. And baby boomers who work with us know the secret to a great retirement is our middle name, Income. At Sound Income Strategies, we transform high-fee, high-taxed retirement spend-down schemes into sustained retirement income. And we can do the same for you. For your free, no-obligation income kit,
call 866-913-1234. That's 866-913-1234.
It's time to get off the Wall Street roller coaster, stop the retirement spend-down schemes, and join the income generation. For your free, no-obligation income kit,
call 866-913-1234. That's 866-913-1234.
Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Sound Income Strategies. The secret to a great retirement is our middle name.
Call 866-913-1234.
During this summer is here. We're grilling the hot talk just for you. News and talk you can trust. No fake news. AM 870, The Answer.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, back with you. Thank you, Jeff. Gave us a high sign. We're in the third half hour of our program. There's so much to talk about. We just got through talking about San Marino, and you can see, Jonathan, that no matter how hard we work down there, we elect 2 or 3 new people, but old habits are hard to break.
Yep.
Well,
it's a good thing that we have folks like Andrew Coe down there fighting the good fight.
That's right. Yeah. And one of the struggles you and I have had for years has been to try to communicate what goes on in these cities, how much money is involved, and also, we look at this Janus decision, but the Janus decision is all about government employees and members of the unions. And the local cities is where 2/3 of those union members are.
It's
or
the
more.
front lines. Really.
It is.
I don't think people realize how much influence they can have in their city by joining this fight. The first step is you got to join the union, right?
Yeah, got to join the union, and then the only way to make government smaller is, guess what? Make government smaller. So. Those children, it's amazing down in San Marino, listening to Andrew Coe talk about it. You got the city of San Marino, one of the wealthiest zip codes on the planet, and we're worried about the city getting involved with daycare, this, that, and the next thing. And you would think that we were talking about kids down on the border. Last time I checked, the kids in San Marino have parents. And moving kids around before, during, and after school is the parents' responsibility. We've got private businesses. We've got we've got babysitters. We have housekeepers. We have wives. What do you think? How many spouses do you think in San Marino are actually employed in the marketplace? I'll bet you there are a higher proportion of stay-at-home moms there. But the government never saw anything it didn't want to get involved in. Well, the city of San Marino is not alone. Its cousin, a zip code just to the, the west, it has similar concerns of situations here. And right now we have on the phone here, we have Hugh Hemington of South Pasadena, who is going to give us an update on what's been going on out there, especially the South Pasadena citizens' opportunity to repeal their odious high $3.7 million a year UUT tax. Hugh Hemington, are you on the phone?
I'm here.
Hey, great. Thank you for calling in. Hugh, tell us a little bit about what's going on and give us a profile of South Pasadena and why it's important.
Well, South Pasadena has had a utility tax now for quite a while. We have tried to overturn it a couple of times and come very close the last time. But this time it's coming up again in November. They pushed it off as far as they could after we qualified it for the ballot.
Right.
So it's going to come up on November 6th. And we have some unique opportunities this time that we haven't had in the past. One of them is that we have a looming, we have people coming out for voting against the gas tax and the other taxes that have been pushed on them. So you're going to get some people coming out in order to vote against that, and they're also going to be voting against the utility tax.
Yes.
And then the second thing is you have the looming water penalties coming down very soon, where people are very afraid of how they're going to try and make ends meet on 55 gallons of water a day, per person.
Wait, no, what's that? 55? Tell us about that.
It's okay. Well, Brown signed two bills: Senate Bill 606 and Assembly Bill 1668, and together they starting in 2022. They start by saying, among other things, that your household will have to use no more than 55 gallons of water per day per resident, per person in the house, and that's for indoor use. But still, it's that doesn't cover very much. And then you have things like, well, what do you do if you're caring for someone who's a senior who needs a lot more laundry done? What happens if you have children who need more laundry done?
Right.
There are all kinds of things they're not taking into account here. So basically the idea is, and then the state is going to be pushing the penalties on the water company and leave them in the position of divvying out that penalty to their ratepayers.
Right.
So what they're really going to be doing is turning neighbor against neighbor, as the state so loves to do, and while they sit back and laugh.
Right. And make the water company the cop.
Right. They make the water company the bad guy. Now, just to remind everybody, this is the same state that didn't have any problem whatsoever blowing 5.23 million acre-feet of water over the dam recently that they had the money to fix, and they just didn't bother. They've been sitting on a $2.1 billion water bond because they're just thinking about it.
Right.
So obviously there's no real water shortage here, but that's a completely an aside. But we're going to be bringing people out on those two issues. So bring them out to overturn the gas tax and the utility tax.
Right.
You tell them, once this water thing comes in, now if you get a fine, you're going to pay the utility tax on the fine.
Right.
Okay, so there's an issue too. Now we got a little bit of a break recently because our trash, which used to be part of the water bill, came off the water bill, and now you pay it separately. But the utility tax specified everything that was covered by the tax, and because because the trash was part of the water, it didn't specify the trash. So for the time being, you're not paying the utility tax on the trash.
Right.
But they're gonna figure out how to plug that one soon if we don't get rid of it.
Exactly.
So that's another reason to get rid of it, so that we don't have that piled on again.
Exactly. Now, tell me, Hugh, how much does the utility tax in South Pasadena bring in each year?
They claim it brings in $3.4 million a year.
Okay.
Now, the interesting thing about that is that the last time we tried to overturn the tax, they said that if they didn't have that money, they were going to have to start letting people go and this and that and the other thing.
Well,
then,
we're waiting.
Since then, they brought in over $9 million additional to the $3.4 million a year. And they brought in, I believe it's in the last few years, they brought in $17 million total. So really, they never needed, they were not telling the truth when they said they were going to be in dire straits before, and they're not telling the truth when they say they're going to be in dire straits now. And I think what we need to do is to communicate that in simple terms to the voters using various methods, and we'll get people out and we'll get rid of this darn thing once and for all.
Sure. And let's talk a little bit about the the demographics down to South Pasadena. It is like San Marino, its cousin to the east. It is a very wealthy city, but it has a very affluent because a lot of people live and work downtown and work downtown, but live in South Pasadena. But you also have a significant population of older people and also a lot of apartment dwellers. Maybe you could talk to us about your demographics.
Well, sure. We have apartments, and San Marino has no apartments at all.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, San Marino doesn't even have condos.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a much higher residence concentration in South Pasadena than they do in San Marino. We have a lot of people in South Pasadena who are just barely making it to get in here and put their kids through our school district. So, and you typically don't have anybody just barely making it in San Marino. So, and even the people that are affluent really don't like paying money they don't need to be paying.
Yes.
And we can show a pretty good track record of a failure to do anything useful with the money. Now, of course, any money that goes to the general fund, as this does, can be used for anything. So you can say that any money paid for anything. It's fungible.
Yes. Yeah, it's fungible.
Which brings up
Here, hang on to that. Hugh, hang on to that point. We're coming up on a break. Okay. We'll bring you back. We have Hugh Hemington from South Pasadena talking to us about the upcoming utility users tax repeal. They'll be on the ballot in November of 2018. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles, back after the break.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, Mike Alexander, Radio Free Los Angeles, back with you. We have on the line Hugh Hemington from South Pasadena. Hugh is part of a group of citizens who've been very active in South Pasadena over the last several years, and he has been recounting the background for this. Hugh, when was the first time that South Pasadena citizens fought the UUT? When was the last time it was on the ballot?
I don't exactly remember. I think it was about 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And they voted. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up another opportunity we had this year that we haven't had before.
Yes.
And that is, as the unfunded pension debt that the city has accumulated, which by market rates is somewhere around $100 million,
mm-hmm.
As that keeps growing, there's ample evidence that the city, with their bonanza of money that comes in from the home sales and the property tax increases and other things, they simply will not address that debt.
Right.
Now, so any taxation that comes in to the general fund cannot be forced to address that debt. So what we need to do also is to tell people that in order for us to get that addressed, we need to get rid of the utility tax entirely the way it is, and then let the city push another utility tax on a 2/3 vote so that it can be dedicated to a specific purpose, namely addressing our pension debt.
Correct. Now, let's go back to that. You said a big number, $100 million. How big is South Pasadena? What's the population? How many households?
It's somewhere. I think we have about 25,000 people, and I'm not sure exactly the number of households.
I think it's about 10,000 222. That's the number I came up with earlier today when I was looking at it. So we got 10,000 households, and for the households, you now owe $100 million. So what is that? $100,000 per household owed by? Yeah, it's outrageous.
It's too much,
and it can't be paid.
No, that's as we say. This is not couch cushion money.
Yeah, right. And
we're not going to find this thing.
And if they were to address it, which is what you and we have been demanding for a long time, if they were to address it, it would mean, A, they'd have to acknowledge it, B, they'd have to actually quantify it, and C, they would have to start cutting back on municipal services, and then it would be clear that it was the pension debt and the high cost of public employees that had caused this, rather than some Tea Party nutcase group taking away their $3.4 million every year. But they refused.
Right. Well,
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, obviously, had they been honest about what the actual cost of municipal services was per employee or per object or per task or whatever it might have been, very few people in this particular town would have agreed to buy those services.
Right.
This is essentially like having a gardener come back 7 years later and tell you that he really made $800 every time he mowed your lawn, and now he'd like the money.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You say what? Yeah. That's exactly what's going on. And meanwhile, the city of South Pasadena, the last time I was at one of their meetings, they were voting some more money to continue their fight against the legendary 710 freeway going through their sacred city. I think that they must spend somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 a year on lobbyists just to oppose that freeway. Do you recall what that number is?
I don't recall. I'd heard it was as high as $1 million.
Yeah.
But now that money is no longer really necessary, because I've heard that real estate agents no longer have to disclose. They no longer have to file the form and disclose that a house is in a freeway path.
Right.
So I think that sounds to me like it's pretty much done and gone.
Yeah.
I don't know how many families have bought the houses that were supposedly in the path, raised their children, and then retired, and then still not there. So
yeah. There've been lawyers and political consultants who have put entire families through Ivy League colleges and retired, and now live in Idaho like the other public employees. Now, this is outrageous. Now, has there a few years ago, when you guys were circulating the petitions to repeal it, the city council was very critical, attacking you guys as outsiders, refusing to face the problems. Has there been any change at all in the approach that the city council has taken to this repeal initiative?
Well, reportedly there has. We had someone go to a city council meeting, and the city council actually voted down a resolution by the city manager to basically threaten all the citizens and say, it'll be catastrophic if this utility tax doesn't stay on the books.
Mm-hmm.
So the city council voted that down, and I think they've made the effort to not try and call us outsiders, because it was pretty idiotic anyway. I mean, I was born and raised in this town. I've been here longer than anyone on city council has, so it's pretty foolish.
Yes.
Most, in fact, two of the people we had are former, city employees of decades of service.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty ridiculous claim to begin with, but and I think someone probably clued them into that it was going to backfire on them in the long run. So
yes.
That's not really an issue. So everything in this is certainly in a more civil state than it was in other cities recently.
Could you tell us what the reaction is of your fellow citizens, because I know you and other activists there in South Pasadena have been engaged in outreach in that community on a variety of political issues for a long time. What's the community saying?
Well, most people we talk to, many people don't really understand it. Many people haven't really looked at their utility bills. So we need a lot of outreach just to inform people, get people to engage. But again, when we have this gas tax, proposition coming up on the ballot, that's going to help a lot.
Good.
So really, we just need to get some momentum behind this thing. But of course, no one is particularly impressed with the theoretical supposed street maintenance they've been doing. They put a lot of slurry black on the streets, which really does nothing but change the color.
Right.
And only that for 8 months. Then it goes back to gray again as the stuff soaks in.
Yep.
They have not really repaired many roads that were supposed to be repaired.
Right.
They just basically do a cosmetic coating, and that's really not fooling anybody.
Right.
And the city has admitted that they have $60 million of deferred maintenance on the streets.
Yes. That's probably a low number.
It's probably a low number, and they've been blowing money right and left on every kind of ridiculous thing. So a lot of this is just that the city is not being run very well. It's certainly not managed very well.
Yep. Well, Hugh, I want to thank you very much for the update down there. It's extremely important. We're going to be watching it, and I hope to have you and others on the show again in the future. And for anyone who would like to be involved in that campaign or learn more, Jonathan, until you guys get your website up, do you want them to correspond with us, Hugh, or would you like to give them another email?
No, just go through you.
Okay. What is that email, Jonathan?
Yeah, our email address is very simple. It's hq@californiataxpayersunion.org.
Got it? That's hq@californiataxpayersunion.org. Hugh, again, many thanks. I look forward to being in touch very soon. Have a good evening. All right, now it is time. Are you ready in there? Okay, man. This guy's got this tail behind him. It looks like you're wagging that thing back and forth.
I think that's a man bun. Is that a man bun?
Or he's a closet Trojan. He just needs to dye that thing crimson.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty
Jeff,
cool.
Are you ready with the Government Grifter of the Week award? It's that time again.
And now, live from Glendale, California, it's this week's Government Grifter Awards.
All right.
And Mike, we missed last week. So
we did. I know.
We ran out of time.
I know. I got calls.
We were focusing last week on the city of Pasadena,
right,
and this sales tax increase.
Oh, and by the way, before we go on to it, last Monday night, every one of those thieves voted unanimously to come up with it and put it on the ballot.
Yeah. So that just puts this in context tonight.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start now we get these salary and benefits, all these numbers from transparentcalifornia.com.
That's it.
And these are 2017 numbers.
Okay.
Total pay and benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And our first nominee is the assistant city manager.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think? Just take a guess. I'll tell you if you're
$275 a year.
No. $320,000 a year total pay and benefits.
Wow.
That's not the city manager. That's the assistant city manager.
The assistant mismanager.
That's right.
Okay.
So our next nominee,
yes,
logically, is going to be the city manager.
Yes.
What do you think he makes?
$375.
Close.
Yeah.
$404.
Oh, jeez.
$404,000 a year.
Man.
And his assistant makes $320.
Okay.
Amazing.
That's 700 and some to mismanage the city.
That's right. And not to be outdone, but the police chief in the city of Pasadena, a total of $412,000 a year total pay and benefits in 2017.
Almost twice the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff. And the winner, drum roll.
And the winner of this week's Government Grifter Award goes to the Pasadena City Manager.
All right.
Congratulations, City Manager. This is City Manager's first nomination and first Government Grifter Award.
That's it. And that clown's running out of money, so they're running a 0.75% increase in the sales tax. Absolutely. This is why we're on here. These people spend so much money, and it's not even all that we owe. Even if we give them everything, it just isn't enough. It'll never be enough, and that's why we are a program devoted to free men, free markets, limited constitutional government, and let's get rid of these taxes as fast as we can. We'll see you next week. Be sure to join us for our next episode. We're going to give you a big update on pensions before the California Supreme Court, and don't forget to repeal the gas tax. Go to gastaxrepeal.org. See you next week, everybody.